Welcome to the Kortex Media Podcast, Marketing Accelerator, your compass for navigating the dynamic world of marketing and business growth. I'm Korson Schmidt, founder of Kortex Media. Our mission is to equip marketing agencies with the custom growth solutions they need to unlock massive revenue increases and scale their business. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today, we're joined by a true exceptional leader with a fascinating journey, Tyler Chisholm, CEO at ClearMotive. Tyler brings a unique blend of analytical thinking with a strategic vision to marketing space. With a science degree and a background as a commercial pilot, Tyler has successfully founded and exited 3 companies before dedicating himself 100% to ClearMotive. His achievements include being recognized as a top 40 under 40, leading companies to fast growth 50 and 100 status, and receiving the Bruce Covington Community Service Award. Tyler is also a published author, public speaker, and a podcast host. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Korson. Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
No worries. I'm excited to get into this one, Tyler. I've listened to a little bit of your podcast.
Cool, man.
You have 500 plus episodes. I'm excited to get into this one, pick up some little tips and tricks from you, pick up some nuggets, and I hope the audience does as well. So, Tyler, the first question I think everyone's asking from the introduction that I did is, your career path is incredible. From science to commercial aviation, and now a successful entrepreneur. How do those 3 correlate? And now you're the CEO of ClearMotive. Can you just kind of give me a quick overview on how those 3 connected into where you are now?
The real fun one that adds a monkey wrench into the whole story is the time I spent a year running the nutrition center at Gold's Gym in Venice Beach in California. So there were some transition points, but I grew up in Montreal. I was always planning to be a pilot. That was the journey, but I never wanted to be the pilot without something else in my pocket. So I was like, I'm going to get a degree, basic sciences degree. I can kind of take that anywhere. So I'm 26 years old. I've got my science degree, I've got my commercial pilot's license. I'm like, you know where there's opportunity? There's opportunity in Alberta. I'm going to move out west because there's lots of flying jobs out there. So I packed up my car, packed up my apartment. My girlfriend at the time and I jumped in and moved to Alberta. Got here, couldn't find a job, couldn't find a flying job. And about 10 months later, this little thing happened called 9/11. And all of a sudden it'd be like getting your pilot's license right before COVID. And then all of a sudden being like, oh shit, nobody's flying. What's going on? So I found myself on the other side of the country. I found myself quickly falling in love with Alberta and falling out of love with my girlfriend. So we broke up and I had a TSN turning point moment where I said, you know what? So I moved back to Montreal. I'm like, you know what? No, there's opportunity. The people here are welcoming. There's just something about this vibe. And this was in 2001 in Alberta. Before, I hadn't been through a boom and bust cycle yet, so I hadn't experienced the rise of the energy sector and what happens to the economy and the community when that happens, which was going to happen in about 06, 07. So I didn't know yet. I was involved in the fitness industry where I was using my science degree to be a personal trainer and really understand the science of how the body worked. And through that, I ended up finding my way down to Gold's Gym in Venice Beach in California. And they used to fly me in to gyms all across the country. If you bought a Gold's Gym franchise and you need to get set up and running, you got to put in your nutrition center and your personal training program and all those things. You would get all these sub-franchisees. So I worked for one of those sub-franchisees and I got flown in to help gym owners who were often successful business people that decided to buy a gym franchise and open a big Gold's Gym. So very quickly, I found myself not only consulting on how to do personal training and nutrition, but how do I sell it? How do I run a business? How do I make money? So in hindsight, it really set how do I brand it? How do I communicate it? How do I sell it? It really translated and giving me a foundation and something I was really loved at the time, which was the intersection between fitness and science. But I found myself falling in love with the business of like, how do you do this? So one of the businesses I set up when I moved back to Alberta was an active weight loss and personal training center, taking my combination and love for this exercise physiology and getting great results for people and overlaid that with the concept of branding and creating value. And, you know, the meaning of your brand is the experience that you provide and so many things that I started reading at the time. So I got into marketing from a brand perspective and being a business owner and realizing, you know, you can charge whatever you want as long as you service accordingly. So big a brand that represents that. And my business partner to this day helped me do the logos for that first company back in 2003. And wow. I never looked back on flying. I've been working with my current business partner literally since 2003. I was one of his clients, but it was that long journey from science to aviation to fitness to like, oh, I really love the business side of this. which was kind of a health, it was kind of a fitness assessment for when you get in to do marketing for a company, you understand where they want to be, what their goals are. It was a lot of like doing personal training and doing nutrition and fitness. So I look back on it and laugh, but it really set the stage for me in my early to mid 20s around, wow, I want to get into business. What's the most exciting for me? It's this marketing thing. It's this brand concept. And that's how I eventually found my way into running a couple businesses and then decided to go all in and becoming an agency owner.
Wow, that's amazing. I love how you said you wanted to be a pilot, an aviation pilot with something else in your back pocket. Now you're an entrepreneur, successful CEO with a pilot license in your back. What else could be better?
It's pretty sweet. So the goal of, I originally started off, I wanted to be a helicopter pilot. But you quickly learn that they only use helicopters where they can't use planes because planes are cheaper than helicopters. So you end up really remote in the middle of nowhere. So and they're also harder to get jobs at the time, which for me, getting any aviation job became hard. But I'm quickly finding myself going, wait a second, maybe I should get a helicopter license now. Maybe I should get a helicopter now. So it's funny, just in the last 6 months, I've been finding my brain going back to aviation after I've taken a bit of a hiatus to run a marketing agency for the last 15 plus years.
Maybe that's the reason you got into it at the beginning, right? Come back to it later.
Come back to the passion of it. Absolutely. So we shall see. We shall see. I'll keep you posted.
Exactly. Well, now that we know how you got started with ClearMotive, Tyler, do you mind giving us a quick overview of your services today? Just so audience members who maybe don't know who ClearMotive is, just as a rough idea.
Absolutely.
Who you guys are, what you're doing, and what drives ClearMotive.
We're a full service marketing agency and we help clients, ambitious brands win in fiercely competitive industries using a fanatical approach. I wake up curious, I go to bed curious. And I also firmly believe that if you're not fanatical about that curiosity in terms of the jobs to be done, the problems to be solved, the reality of the world that in our case, it's our customers are living in, how are you ever going to be an effective marketer? Show me a good marketer. I'm going to show you someone who's really, really curious about the client side of things. So we've maintained this platform of full service because it's almost impossible to provide that holistic view of we're going to support everything you do to engage with your clients to ultimately have them engage with you and hire you to make their lives better. It was ClearMotive came from the name of every customer has a motive and every client has a motive. That marketing message that exists in between is what helps unite the two. And we've built our whole platform out of that. We are everything from research right through to full data analytics. We have in-house media purchasing. One of our largest clients is something we're incredibly proud of. We've been the agency of record for Honda Canada since 2011. So we run the motorcycle, marine, ATV, and power equipment business for that division. And we do some work in auto with Honda and Acura as well. So we brought digital media in-house. We've got a full customer experience team. We do a lot of web work. We do a lot of medium to larger clients in Western Canada, Honda probably being our most recognizable brand. We do a lot of work in the home builder space. We're doing a lot of work lately kind of on the data layer, server side, really understanding the deeper layer of analytics of, someone went to my site. Great. What ad drove them there? What creative converted? Who's actually making their way through from the marketing funnel into the sales funnel? Who's converting? So much more of being a true business partner to our clients, but with a marketing and branding lens.
That's amazing. And that's where we see a lot missing right now as well. And we're going to talk about AI later. We have to. It's the word of 2025.
100% right? We do. 100%.
We can't get into a conversation without bringing that up, especially CEO to CEO. So we'll bring that up later. But we're seeing a lot of these pop-up agencies that are very surface level, right? And like you said, you guys get into the analytics. You guys get into the detail. Figure out what's working, what's driving, what's not. So that is truly amazing. That sets you guys apart.
Thank you.
So now I just want to go towards your book. You're a recent author. Without giving away all of your secrets that are inside of this book.
I want to give them all away. I want to share it with everybody. That's why I wrote it.
Go ahead. What is the core value of that book?
I believe that curiosity is the single most valuable leadership trait. And I love it because I believe it's accessible to all of us. And it can be personalized to see what fits for you. I almost didn't get into podcasting because I had imposter syndrome. I was like, who am I to interview these Fortune 500 CEOs? And a friend of mine kind of strong-armed me into it. That's a whole other story for another podcast, but I got pushed, which I would call in hindsight leadership by somebody who saw something in me that I was hesitant to see in myself. And about a day before my first podcast, and this is 650 podcasts ago, to be really clear, I said, you know what? Wait a second. Why do I think I have to show up with all the answers? Why do I think I have to show up and be the hero? I'm not the hero. It's not about me. Mm-hmm. Why would I ever think I had to be more of an expert in what this person has done or lived or believes than they are? It's ridiculous. What if I just show up curious? And it was how I gave myself permission to show up with guests that I might have found it a little bit intimidating. They might have like kind of blown me away a little bit. And I decided I was going to show up curious. And then I started practicing curiosity. And for 100 episodes, I practiced and practiced and practiced. And I'll be clear, I didn't even call it curiosity at the time. It was just giving my permission. It's not about you, Tyler. It's about the audience. Make your guest the hero. All those things that a good marketer needs to think about, I started to do in the podcast. And I said, wait a second. I like the guy that shows up in the podcast. This guy asks more questions. This guy never has to be right because it's not his job to be right. This guy doesn't have to have all the answers. And then I was like, this sounds like some pretty powerful leadership stuff right here. And at the time, I had got a 360 feedback from my team. And they said, Tyler, you ask questions you already know the answer to. You jump to conclusions. You don't let us participate. You always think you have to have all the answers. We want to have some of the answers. And I said, wait a second, that guy would be a terrible podcast host. What the heck is going on here? And I started to take the things I learned practicing kind of in the gym that was my podcast studio of like, if I practice curiosity, I practice humility, I practice vulnerability. Not only am I a better host, the guests will tell me after, oh my God, like we had a conversation. I never thought we'd get to that stuff. It made me feel so comfortable. I felt so heard. I said, these are all things that make up a strong leadership team. And I started adopting it in my team and I started playing with it and practicing it for another 100 episodes and then another 100. And then my social media manager challenged me. She goes, no one's owning curiosity purely as the concept. And as a marketer, you want to know there's some white space. You want to know that there's a need. So I targeted the 35 to 45-year-old Alex and Ariel, the trailblazer. They're a rising leader. They've had leaders that are good. They've had leaders they question, but they're looking to find their own voice. I said, hey, why not get introduced to this concept of curiosity? It's inclusive. It's freeing because you don't have to have all the answers, but yet you still need to steward and guide things. You're still in a leadership role, whether it be in management, where you are in your journey. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I challenged myself to take everything out of my coconut, if you will, and turn it into something tangible that hopefully other people can benefit from. But it all started because of podcasting.
Wow, that's amazing. For it to break down 650 episodes now into a brand, into what you're driving yourself from, and the word that has driven you, that you want to help others with now. That is truly amazing. Thanks. And it is something that a lot of people lack. Like you said, you didn't want to get on screen, you didn't want to hear other people's opinions, but it's not about you. It's about them and being curious about their story and what they want to talk about, and just digging a little bit deeper into that.
It's so freeing. It's actually it's a gift. It's truly a gift. I would do podcasts if nobody listened because I get to have amazing conversations with people.
Yeah. Well, like I do them and I love the conversation base. Like it is freaking amazing. Meeting people, getting to sit one-on-one with someone you never thought you'd have the chance to. Through a screen. I mean, it's through a screen, but like still, you're having a conversation with someone.
100%. This is the world we live in. This is personal. I call this a personal. This is an intimate conversation with another human being. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Like you could be someone who, like me. I've been doing podcasting for about 6 months now. Awesome. Came out of the automotive technician side as a tech, and now I'm speaking to very successful CEOs. Like yourself.
Oh, that's a cool story. I didn't know your backstory, Korson. That's cool. Yeah. Good for you, man. That's great. No. I love it even more now.
So I came out of high school. I'm been a car enthusiast my whole life. And at 16, I decided to pull my first car apart, build it up. And I actually got it done about when I was 19. But then that's my start for
What was your automotive. What was your first car project?
It was a 2001 Volkswagen GTI. Nice. But it was more of I wanted to go fast. I was 16. I couldn't even drive. I didn't even have my G1 yet. I was like, I need to do something to this because I can't drive it yet. There's no point in it sitting here. So what I did was pulled the engine, turboed it. So took the block right down to everything, make sure pistons were good, make sure the rings were good.
Make sure it would hold together when you bolted a turbo on it.
Yeah, exactly. And then bolted everything back together, slapped the tune to it, and that was my first project. And now I'm on number 3, which is my grandfather's old farm truck. So 78 F-150. So that's project 3 that's happening now. But that sparked interest. So I got into truck and coach technician. I got 2 years into my apprenticeship. My body couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't stand getting dirty one little bit. I was coming home black and I was like, my health is so much more important than this. I can't do this. I'm not meant for this.
As a rough job, physically.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Good for you, man. That's awesome.
I loved the physical aspect, but like the dirtiness, couldn't do it. I was such a health freak by the end of my 2 years. I was like, I can't do this. I gotta clean myself. So
I quickly realized that don't mistake a hobby for a career. I love cars and I don't pay as much attention to it as I used to. I'm into farm equipment lately. I recently bought a farm, so that's what I'm doing that.
Nice. Amazing.
But it's still equipment. It's still engines. It's still all, it's just diesel, not engines. But my last big car project was a 66 Chevelle. Two-door hardtop with a big block in it. Ran low 12s on street tires. It was lovely.
That's crazy. That's a fun project.
Big heavy metal, like your farm truck. Sorry.
Yeah. No, and I actually grew up with a farm as well. So
lovely. Getting this I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. Best place to grow up. You learn all the skills.
Everything. It's being in a small town in Ontario is where I grew up. It's been amazing. From originally living in town to about 8 years old, we moved on to our first hobby farm where we did a little bit of everything. We had pigs, we had chicken, we had cattle, we had horses, we had donkeys, we had everything. And then moving into a bigger beef farm later down the road. But for anyone younger listening to this who wants to learn, go work on a farm. Get your hands dirty, work on a farm.
I agree. That's good advice.
You learn so much about everything, whether it be animals, plants.
A resilient problem solver like no other.
Yes, literally. Anyways, we're taking a little turn on the podcast here, but
I love it. I think it's good to share some personal stuff. I think that's what I love about podcasts. It's also, it's two people having a good old fashioned conversation, which I love.
Yeah. So, I was speaking about myself. So my core values and why I started this is because I want to help people. I want to help businesses. And a lot of people do, right? And one thing is every person, every expert, every business has their own way of doing things and their own process. So Tyler, if you don't mind getting into just one case study and how you guys have helped a specific client with a specific challenge, that would be amazing because I'd love to hear your process on how you do it with your expertise.
Well, certainly I'd love to, because we're so business led. When we present to a client or engage with a client, we're not showing them our reel. We're not showing them our awards. We're not showing them anything until we understand their business and understand what the core business problem is. Because oftentimes the client's like, I need a new website. I'm like, do you? Or do you need more leads? Or do you need more recruiting? Or do you need a better story told? Or do you need to be more competitive in a new sector? So one of my favorite stories, it was a few years back, but a good friend of mine was a VP of HR for a very large multinational, I guess it was their Canadian, wouldn't be multinational. They were a national chain of physiotherapy clinics. Think about 2,000 employees. And at the time they were short, we were chatting and we would help them with some of their mission, vision, values and kind of very surface level stuff. Like we weren't really solving any business problems. We were friends. So they rolled out new mission, vision, values. So we did all the plaques for them. So it was more that style. And she said, my CEO is really on top of me. We're short like 85 physiotherapists across the country. And that's like short about $16,000 of profit per month per physio. So it's a legit number and I need to solve it. And I said, well, how do you typically solve it? Well, the individual clinic owners, which are typically at that point was like the clinic manager who also was treating patients, but also was responsible for recruiting. And this was all across, so rural Ontario, Maritimes, like everywhere. So people were putting ads in the newspaper. They were posting online, but it was very unsophisticated because a lot of these individuals, that just wasn't their area of expertise. They weren't able to even use the tools that were available. So I put on my marketing hat. I said, all right, let's think about this from a campaign perspective. What are you selling? Well, just a job. I said, come on, anybody can hire you. What are you really selling? Well, we do this and we do that and we put all this stuff and we train them and we do extra. And obviously the smaller one-off clinics can't do that kind of hands-on work. I was like, well, where are you communicating that? Well, we hope that the manager tells that story when they meet the individual. I'm like, it's too risky. I can't do it. Why don't we build a microsite just for recruiting? Let's not bring your IT team in. Let's not get everybody all twisted up about a new website. Let's just focus and treat this purely like a campaign. If we were selling cars, we would do the same thing. Or we're selling motorcycles, we'd do the same thing. So I said, let's build a website that really espouses on the values, espouses on the culture. Let's tell a real story, truth, but let's really tell it. And then let's go out and run some AdWords campaigns. Let's look at local media, but let's treat this not like how a physiotherapy clinic might recruit, which is posting ads in local community newspapers for some people, which was just not working for them, shockingly. I said, let's take advantage to the world of digital and let's put together a campaign, but let's not just throw it into your website. Let's really steward the customer experience. What are we trying to solve for this individual? They want somewhere they can grow. They want somewhere they feel supported. Maybe they want somewhere close by in their own small town. Maybe they just graduated. They want to move back home. Let's really look at this as the journey that individual physio, sure, you want to hire people, but let's unpack it. And we did it on a shoestring. We got it put together because we didn't the certain individual, and I won't get into details, could only get approvals up to a certain level. So we had a lot of $5,999 invoices for the project to make sure we didn't have to get higher level of approvals until we could prove results. So we got really creative with how we work with them to set them up for success. Because like being a podcast host, if I'm not making my client the hero at their company, I'm not. You better know what your client takes in their coffee, right? Because you're there to make their life better. So I knew this individual really well, and so she was really busy as well. So we'd have once a week check-in calls. I'd be like, she'd be like, "What about this? What about this?" I'm like, "We need more candidates. We need more candidates. I don't want to talk about anything else." We were very disciplined on what we wanted. They got so many leads in the first 3 months of this, they had to hire an individual just to vet it. Rather than taking the time out of the clinic director's role, which was running the clinic and treating, they started vetting everything at the national level and then feeding candidates out to clinics across the country. The clinic managers loved it because what was their number one problem? I have more patients than I have service providers. And each service provider that I'm missing is I'm losing revenue every month and now I'm not meeting my numbers. So like the pain of that was very real. But yet they didn't have the know-how, the experience, and let's be honest, they just didn't have the time. Like, let's give them all the credit in the world. They were too busy. So we standardized it. We used what would be, to certain people like, oh, that sounds so obvious, but in their business, it wasn't. So we used things that we've learned and understood from other industries. We took lots of lessons learned from running paid digital media campaigns on a national level, but we still made it localized. We geo-targeted. We focused on the clinics that were having the greatest challenges. We did a lot of things you need to do. But once the CEO saw the business case, I forget what the numbers were. Like there was a period of time where they were getting 800, 900, 1,000 resumes a month. Like it got out of control.
Wow.
And what it led to was, holy shit, we've made some promises. We better deliver. So we actually helped them build a full corporate intranet that actually then continued the value journey of what they said they were going to do. And they automated using technology at the time to bring that through the organization so that these new individuals were truly getting the promise that they were told when they were going to start at these new clinics. And it became so successful. Like it was just an out of the park success, not only because it worked, but also it was such a departure from how they would have approached things. And for us as an agency, we could have gone in and say, post more ads. But it was like, no. We had to think of the problem. We had to think of who you're trying to engage with and who you're trying to help. And it was a phenomenal success story that I still bring up to this day. And it was a few years back. And it was taking the time to really understand the problem you were truly solving for my client, but then also who they were trying to influence and who their stakeholders were.
That's an amazing story, especially because you guys started with the foundation of any business, the story, the brand, and built it from the ground up. That's amazing. And you don't hear that a lot.
You can run digital ads for anything, but how many times, I'm sure you've done this, Korson, I do it where I'm on the weather app and I see an ad. I'm like, oh, interesting. I click on it just to see where it goes. And 60% of the time, it goes nowhere right. It goes to some website that's not in line with the message. The offer doesn't correlate to the offers. Someone spent $10, $15, $20, $5, $100 to get me to click, and they couldn't follow through with their agency, their partner, their internal team. Somebody couldn't see through to go, we better give this person who's now said, I'm curious enough to click, and spend the company's hard-earned dollars to land on a message that at least aligns with what that person's going to care about. It's such a fail. It drives me bananas.
Yeah, it's crazy, and that story is amazing. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but it shows that how deep you guys get, how much you guys listen, because this is a lot of things. People are good at one thing. They say they're selling everything, but they come in and they pretend to go through this big consultation, and then they just plug in what they know, hoping it works, and sell what
they always sell.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like the watch salesman. No matter what you want, I got watches over here, and that's why we've stuck with full service. And for an agency, there's so much specialize. If we're truly going to be your business partner and truly be agnostic in what we recommend, that's really hard if we only sell websites or we only sell paid media or we only sell video or we only sell. Because then actually I feel like I wouldn't be integral to the fact that I'm going to understand your business. I'm going to understand what matters to you. And then I'm going to we have enough senior level talent. And for the specialization, we bring in people. We don't say we're good at something if we're not, but what we're really good at is understanding your business. Mm-hmm. And I joke, when you roll over, this is good for you, that big Snap-on toolbox full of marketing drawers, I got to know which drawers to pull out and which order to pull them out in. And how do I do that if I haven't even looked at the car yet?
No, that's
I haven't opened the hood, but I know it's your alternator. Like, what? What? How do you know that? And I think a lot of marketers do that by not necessarily leaning in deep enough and focusing too much on the tool that they want to sell.
Yeah. And then I want to link to that as well, because you'll have a ton of CEOs that come to you with a problem. You're like, hey, let's have a conversation over here. Forget about what you said that the issue is. Let's have a conversation here. Figure out what the real problem is. But they don't want to because they see the problem over here. And I've seen that
I never tell them to forget about what the problem is, because
not forget about it, but like
I'm joking.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I do, but dude, it's the art of being a good podcast host. You have to ask good questions. And you know the best question. You know the best way to start any question. Korson, I'm curious. What about this part of your business? I've never had someone not answer that question. If you start with curious, if you use a softener, I wonder. You say you can't. What would it be like if you did? Like, let's just hypothetical 6 months from now, and that blockade that's very real right now just went away. What would that be like? You start using possibility language. It's amazing. And I would argue that CEOs, even more so, they want to get excited about their business. They are the experts in their business. I will never be a better expert. I'm more of an expert in somebody's business than they are. But I might be the expert on this toolkit that I'm going to wheel over. But we have to unite. I have to understand where you're coming from. And being a good podcast host also makes you a very good very good at discovery. Use the word discovery. I think those are very important. As long as it's not just to sell what I was already planning to sell, whether I did the discovery or not. If I truly want to learn your business, and once you gain enough experience, you can listen to somebody, senior leadership team, CFO, anyone in a senior role. And you listen, you're like, okay, so if this is going on, this is going on. I'm going to guess that you also have this problem. And they're like, oh yeah, holy shit. Yes, that's absolutely a problem. How did you know that? I'm like, well, there's patterns and there's consistencies, and we've maybe not worked with you, but we've worked with other clients like you. And I think that is one of the things that a little bit of time in the space and wisdom really helps you show up a lot more credibly to those clients. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of time. You got to learn to go, like you said this was the problem. But I've listened to you for 15 minutes and I actually think it's this. I'm going to be bold. I'm going to put it out there. Over the years, you get a little bit better at that, right?
For sure. Now, one big driving factor with what you just said, I have to bring up the big topic. I have to bring it up.
Do it.
Is we have these AI pop-up agencies, I want to call them.
Sure.
People who are very good at prompting AI, very good at leveraging automation and AI and using it for marketing purposes.
Yep.
Now, we just talked about how you do it. Really get in depth, understand the challenges, understand what the business actually needs. Where we have all these AI pop-up agencies where they'll talk to this business owner, put everything into AI. It'll spit out a solution, which is what they know and the tools that they have. How do you see the future of it, of agency? In my opinion, I think we're gonna have very boutique, amazing, great, very, 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 very smart individuals, marketing ways. We're gonna have people that are great at prompting AI, and a team of great prompts of how to use and leverage tools. My opinion, I want to hear yours.
Why can't you have both? Why can't it be combined? Because I wouldn't say I fall into the great category, because I won't diagnose myself that way. But I absolutely use AI. Before I go into a client, I'll be like, I'm going to this client, I'm in this situation. Give me some scenarios, give me market trends. What are you seeing? What's happening here? What's going on? Like, I'll build a big prompt in Gemini and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. I've seen that before. That's actually bullshit. So I think the biggest differentiator is what I'm concerned about is not just in the context of marketing. If I'm not mentoring you and AI is, how are you going to be discerning enough to know when AI is full of shit? Because it is. It hallucinates. It gives false information. It's getting better all the time. I think the challenge that we're all going to run into and we're all going to pay the price for is I would rather, because it's easier for me, it's Sunday morning at 10 o'clock when I'm thinking about a client, I'm not going to call up one of my junior team to have a collab with them. I'm going to use AI. So the me in that journey when I was 26, who's mentoring me? Who's helping me to become a little bit more discerning and not just follow AI blindly? But I think your earlier point, there's always been agencies that sell the solution and they sell the sizzle and they sell the whole magic. And at the end of the day, I think there's still a place for all of us. And some clients only want that. That works for them. They often, how many times you've met people that they're very gun shy to work with a new agency because they got burned by another agency. So unfortunately, I think that'll increase. I think that not everyone is your ICP. Not everyone is your ideal customer profile. So as an agency or as any business, you got to get really clear. If someone doesn't value you, doesn't value your services, doesn't understand marketing as an active lever for their business, and is okay with, what will be, potentially, and I'm not going to downplay AI. There's some great information can come out of that, but it gets a lot better when it gets put through the filter of senior people that know how to go, okay, we're going to use this piece. Wow, I wouldn't even have thought of that. Those three things are total garbage. Like, get out of here. I'm not even going to think about that. Yep. And that's how I'm seeing my senior team is using it. They're using it as a thinking partner. They're using it to amplify their access to research, which used to be a barrier for cost. Like, oh, it's $80,000 to go interview your customers. or I can make up a prompt that gives me a snapshot. I can tell you where I got it. You can tell me what you think because you're the expert in your business, and we can build off that point. And we spent $5,000. We didn't spend $80,000. And I think so. Accessibility to information. It's what day is it today? October 20 something, 21st.
22nd, 22nd.
ChatGPT just released Atlas. Have you seen Atlas yet?
I haven't taken a look. No.
It's the first. I think it's the first big swing in the browser wars. It's a ChatGPT web browser.
Okay.
It's a Google killer is what it is.
Yeah.
And you can fully integrate. Of course, the chatbot, which is ChatGPT, is fully integrated into Atlas. So I'll give you an example this morning. I did 2 things at 6 a.m. I was doing a client presentation today, and I went into the browser, and I asked the question of the browser. I said, "Hey, tell me about this certain company that does a certain thing in specifically in Calgary." And my mind was blown because what it did not different than a search engine. So you go to a search engine, you ask about a certain company in Calgary, it's going to give you a link. That's what it's going to do. Hopefully, if the brand is done, at least their branded keywords, they're going to come up on the first page, hopefully.
Yeah.
If it's just based on services, who knows what's going to happen depending on the size of the company and their level of sophistication. What this did, it told me about the company, it gave me a link to the website, but then it proceeded to tell me what they were good at, what they weren't good at, why I might be concerned about hiring them, that they're only specifically to a one sector, they're relatively small, so they might not scale. I didn't even have to go to the website to figure that out on my own. It vetted them already and gave me a point of view as if I would have said, "Hey, Korson, do you know these guys? Yeah, Tyler, they're a bit this, they're a little bit that, they're good at this, they're not good at." It did that type of a response. Wow. So all of a sudden, when you think about search and technical search and making sure you're ranked and you're optimizing your load speed, all that becomes instantly irrelevant. And I knew this company was wanting to move away from how it was being positioned clearly. But ChatGPT already told me I didn't even have to go to their website myself to figure that out. It gave it to me at the same time. I said, okay, my mind is blown there. So that really starts, how AI is going to impact search at a whole different level than I think using the traditional SEO filter. And it's not even like, agentic AI search. I'm like, it was more than that. Then I opened up my Slack account. I went into that same client's channel. I highlighted it all. I right-clicked, gave ChatGPT access. I asked it to summarize it with a lessons learned approach, put a deck together using my Google account, and actually build a slide deck to do a lessons learned with my team about what we learned through the process of putting the presentation together. And use the ClearMotive.ca site for brand standards. I watched it open the ClearMotive site. It looked like this magical trickling filter that went over as it analyzed the page. It closed it. It then opened my Google Sheets, and it started building a contextualized presentation with about 10 slides with the information put into proper hierarchy and using its best guess at my brand standards. And it took about 7 minutes. And it took 7 minutes.
That is crazy.
My brain has been melted all day. So I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah, I'm going to check this out now that you brought it up. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I think it just got released yesterday. I am not a bleeding edge technology guy, but I'm so curious. I can't help myself. And as an agency owner, it is integrated into all the tools we use. Our ability to do more with less, the ability to be more efficient, to deliver better value to our clients. We are embracing it. Obviously, there's privacy concerns. We work with some very large multinational clients. So we are at Google Shop. So we use Gemini for a lot of things privacy related. We use GPT because a lot of us are more comfortable with it because I think we got indoctrinated into it early. So it is my probably next to my email and then Slack. It's probably my most used interface.
Why wouldn't you?
Good question, Korson. Good question. I use it to write. When I was writing the book, I would get up in the morning early, drink an espresso, and I'd have an idea or a concept in my mind. I would collaborate with ChatGPT to idea, reference, cite it. Where does this come from? Who's done the research? And then I would be like, okay, I got it. Then I would close that. I'd go to Google, open up a sheet, and I would just free write. And I would write 4,000 words because getting GPT to write it, that was so obviously GPT to write it. But as a thinking partner, there was no one better at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning while I was drinking too much coffee.
No, it's amazing. It's a tool. It's out there. It's not going away. So why not get used to it now? Leverage it now.
And it's as bad as it's ever going to be right now. And it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Now, I want to get into this question, Tyler, because I want everyone, whether it's someone just getting started in marketing, someone has as much experience as you or more,
sure,
listening to this podcast, and I want them to pick stuff up that is going to be truly helpful in their business and where they are now and what they're doing. So everyone has their own way for client acquisition, for their own marketing. Everyone loves one way, and everyone has their best way of doing it. So I want to ask you this question, Tyler. Right now, in your opinion, what is the best way to attract clients? I mean, it depends on what industry you're going after, but in your opinion right now, what is that best method to attract clients to your
specifically as from an agency perspective?
Agency.
I don't believe there is one way. I believe the typical way for a lot of agencies are word of mouth, referrals. Somebody knows the principles. How well did you get yourself out there? How much you engage in your community? Because selling service is very interesting because the trust component has to be so high. So I meet you, I know you. Oh, I get to know you. I'm like, oh, hey, I hear you do marketing. I need some marketing. So for us, it's typically our largest clients have been every single one of them. I think almost 90% of them, somewhere you can trace back in the lineage of that client is a personal relationship. Is it the most effective? It's the hardest to scale, but it's the most effective when it works. Is that a fun way to say it?
Definitely.
So, versus I think agencies also are notorious at not taking our own advice or eating our own dog food or whatever expression you want to use. I haven't eaten a lot of dog food, so maybe that's a bad one. Who is your ICP? Who are you going after? And I think you can slice this up a few ways. Do we solve a very specific problem for multiple industries? Do we solve a specific problem for one industry? Are we experts in one industry and we solve a lot of problems for this industry? Do we sell a service that's ubiquitous and can cross over multiple industries and is a digital media play? Because you know what? Everybody wants more leads. So let's play that game. Mm-hmm. Is it a website? Because everybody needs a website. So we sell websites. For us, we've always been very broad in the clients we work with, but if we look at, there's a lot of patterns. And even our largest housing client, our largest our motorsports client, they're sales-oriented organizations that marketing is in service of sales. There's no other, and it sounds almost silly to say because marketing is always in service, but what do we do is we built custom teams. We figured out how to work with them. We figured out how to best deliver on the high volume, on the level of marketing activity that they need, often in very busy, very chaotic environments. We've then now taken and said, wow, what did we get really good at? Sometimes you got to reverse engineer this as an agency because you might get into business, you might get successful because you want a couple big clients. Yep. And all of a sudden they suck up all your time. And you're like, oh geez, how do I scale this? And I've met so many agency owners. They're like, I didn't even start this to scale agency. It worked. And now I'm doing it. So really starting to unpack, and something we're doing right now, we're currently in the middle of a go-to-market strategy specifically for home builders, but specifically the data layer. So we have very successful home builder clients in North America, specifically in Canada. We're looking at the US market right now. So we said, all right, let's start by putting together, what do we think problems we're solving? I'm spending my marketing and I don't know which 50% is working, which 50% is not. And as much as we're drowning in the world of data, so many companies don't know which ad actually converted. Do kitchen ads convert better than community ads? But more than cycling, I don't care if they just converted. Did they actually sell a house? Can you attribute your model all the way back? How set up is your GA4? What's your CRM look like? What's your server-side tagging look like? And we've really perfected that offering. And our hypothesis and our total addressable market in the US was big enough. We said, you're a home builder that delivers a certain amount, probably 250 to 750 doors per year. You have a level of sophistication. You have an under-resourced, overworked marketing team. You've got a marketing agency and you probably have a media partner because if you're a home builder, you're placing ads and you're doing creative. It's just how it is. Those are very hard to dislodge because you have to have a lot of trust, or that person who's the incumbent has to have blown it, like literally blown it that day. But I know that there's executive teams. There's guys like you sitting in me around going, I need better data. I need to see what's actually going on. You're asking me for more money, but I don't know what dollars are working now. So we've positioned a very specific offer. We use Clay and Instantly to really identify who are those individuals, where are they located. We developed an email sequence that I'm going to tell you this because it sounds unbelievable, but we've only sent out 100 emails so far and we have a 91% open rate. I thought it was wrong. I didn't even believe it because but we haven't had anyone convert yet because they're in the funnel now. They're on the journey. So now we're spinning up, we kind of did it as a test. Is this the right ICP and is this the right message? You get an open rate and almost 80% of people have gone through the full 4 sequences and opened all of them. A few of them have definitely clicked to the landing page, but they haven't booked an appointment yet. So now we're looking at webinar. Now we're looking at sending out kind of hey, here's 3 things you can do yourself. So we've now proven that our ICP was accurate and the problem is clearly resonating enough to get these emails to open. I don't want them to fire their creative shop. I don't want them to fire their media partner. I want them to bring us in right in the middle. Because you know what's going to happen? We're going to go, hey, we've identified some creative that isn't performing. We've identified some media dollars that are that are actually, you could be getting more value out of that. Hey, you want us to help us a little bit with that? So we're in the process right now, and I'm really being really clear with it, because I think the level of discipline it takes to do that for yourself, I made it sound really like it just flowed together. Everybody's busy. Everyone was working on the corner of their desk. We've hired a full-time marketing manager for ClearMotive specifically, and their number one job in the first 90 days is going to be to build a full kind of marketing support plan to go with this ICP.
Amazing.
So I gave you got the dirty laundry. I gave you all the details on that one.
No, but like, if you have the data, you know what works, you know what doesn't, and the nice thing with email, I want to say it, you can test so quick and you can get results so quick.
100%. That's exactly what we did. The death of email is grossly overstated.
Yes, and it's super powerful right now. It is. So, I'd like to get into that a little bit further after the podcast.
Fair enough. Good question, Korson. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you getting in depth with that, because I like that. That's where I want people to come. I want people to learn. I want people to learn new ideas. What is Site? What is Instant? What is Apollo?
Go check it out. Exactly. Yeah. Totally.
Go use them. Learn about them. And if you don't know anyone who knows about them, find someone. Find an expert, because it takes who'll explain it to you perfectly? ChatGPT. Exactly.
Explain to me the difference between Clay Instantly and Apollo and how I would use them in a campaign. Just ask that prompt. I'm a marketer in this sector. I'm curious about this, and these are the 3 interfaces I'm interested in using. Mock up a campaign for me and show me how I would use them in the order I would need to use them in. Boom. In like 12 seconds, you will have that answer.
Exactly. And then learn. Back to AI tools. Learn as much as you can while they're still here, while they're easy to use and they're free. And most of them are free.
They are.
So,
I know. That day will go away, because these guys are spending billions to keep giving you free tools.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, well, we kind of spoke on the future now. What does the future look like for ClearMotive? You kind of touched on it there, Tyler. What does it look like? And
we're really excited about being disciplined on where we can add value to our clients, and making sure we're looking at all these tools with a very critical eye. Don't get too excited, but don't get too overwhelmed, which is very easy to say on a podcast and very tricky to do when you've got a team that's busy doing the work day to day, and you've got clients that are also drowning in their worlds. Don't ever forget, your clients are under-resourced, and they also rely on you to go, okay, I'm overwhelmed with AI. Okay, here, I had a senior partner at Deloitte Digital tell me, I said, Chris, what's the number one question? Same as Chris Foster, a fantastic individual. You mentioned him earlier. Mm-hmm. I said, what's the number one question you're getting from boards and executive teams at big companies? And he goes, Tyler, the number one question is, what can I ignore? So when you think about your client, you think about the future of you being able to service them, I think it's also our responsibility to go, hey, you don't have to worry about this. I got this. We're going to use this and this. We're going to try this. We're going to cleave off 10% of our budget to play with this. So you can tell your leadership team that you're playing around with AI in these ways, because sometimes it's a bit performative, and you got to show that you're moving the pieces around on the board. And I think that being easy to work with and taking that responsibility for your clients, and that was a philosophical answer. I believe that our industry is going to continue to be disrupted. I think we're going to be able to deliver higher value to our clients with less people. And I know that's problematic in other ways, but in the world of talent, if you can do more with less talent and keep the talent you have doing work that they're excited about, getting away from repetitive tasks, I choose to be really optimistic about the doors that can open for our team and our culture. I think marketing, like every business, is going to go through a lot of pressure. And the companies that are we're basically pop-ups at the community center, and we do AI-based prompt only, and we really don't know what we're doing, but we're kind of taking advantage. Those guys burn through clients their churn is high. I think there's companies out there that want to pay for that, and more power to you. They're not my ICP. But if the clients are I want a partner that's going to really learn my business and kind of get in the trenches with me and isn't scared of technology because I'm a little bit overwhelmed by it, philosophically and psychologically, I think there's a lot there. And I choose to be really excited about the future, because that's a choice, because I'm curious as hell.
That's amazing. The future is so intriguing because it can go so many different ways. We have no idea where it's going to be headed. And a lot of one big thing I see in companies that I see is they don't have a plan. They don't have a roadmap, where that is a big breakdown to me. In life in general, we need to know where we need to have goals. We need to have a star at the
and they need
tunnel.
To be high. They need to be high enough that they're provide purpose, but also flexible enough, knowing that I don't actually know what the world's going to look like a year from now.
Yes, exactly.
But from a values perspective and from what's important to me as an individual, that can't change. But the tools you might be encountering they're 100%. They're going to change in 3 months. Forget about 12 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No,
didn't know
it's
about Atlas yesterday and this morning. It blew me away. Like, because I happened to open a newsletter that was like, hey, check out this new thing. Might not be on your radar. 20 minutes later, I'm like, my brain is melting at the kitchen table.
no, I am checking that out after this podcast as well. Let's write it down just so I don't forget. What are some of the challenges? Because we're going through this crazy landscape.
I feel like I could repeat all the same things.
Yeah,
The people,
literally.
the technology, the overwhelm. I think just the sheer onslaught of the amount of weight in people's lives. Because let's remember, nobody just shows up at work and goes home and it's compartmentalized. It's not. We're messy humans that live messy lives with family. And I'm in Alberta right now. There's a teacher strike. So I have a whole bunch of friends that have young kids that are now home and they're like, holy heck, my life is chaos right now because that was not part of the plan. And you amplify that. I think that's happening every day. And heaven forbid you don't open your social media feeds or your news feed, and then the rest of the world kind of knocks you off your feet. So I think as leaders and as organizations, how much can you create a safe space for people? How inclusive can you be? How much can you go, hey, I know you're going to be overwhelmed with technology. So, we're gonna work as a team and we're gonna say no to some things. We're not going to get change fatigue. We're not going to get, new shiny toolitis and go, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed and we're not using the tools that we have. And be careful of creep. You can sign up for apps and next thing you know, you're spending thousands of dollars a month and you have no idea on what or who the hell's using it. I had a friend that got brought into a company and he, after 6 months, wiped out about $1 million a month in technology fees that nobody was using.
Wow. That is crazy.
And now you're a small business. That could be $1,000 a month, but that's real.
Yeah.
And we all have it. We all have tech creep in our businesses, in our lives. Yeah. And it's all membership, and it's the future of forecasting cash flow and lifetime, and certainly annual value for a client. But it can destroy your business. And I think it's legit to try them, but you need to I want to try this, I want to try that, I want to sign up for the 30-day, and don't worry, I'll remember to cancel before they charge my credit card, and then you don't. Be as disciplined as you can with that kind of stuff, while also being really curious and being open to it. So I think it's trying to create a bit of a space inside the chaos, and being okay that it's going to feel a little bit chaotic. But be curious and also be okay to the joy of missing out. You know what? We're not going to focus on this right now because it might be neat, but it's not going to provide any value. So let's move on. Let's try to find things that actually can pull through to our clients because we are in service of our clients every day. So don't ever forget that, no matter how shiny the tool is.
No, that's amazing. That's some great advice there, Tyler. And that leads me into my next question. But this is more for the young entrepreneur, young marketer just getting started. What advice do you have for them? For them to take their first steps in this crazy industry we call marketing?
That's an interesting question. Don't forget the basics. What problem are you trying to solve, for who, and how are you going to solve it? Oh, this tool's this and this tool's that. And I find so many companies or so many people give the tool the credit and forget the foundations. Somewhere there's an interaction between a service, like somebody who's providing a service or product, and someone who's benefiting from that service and that product. All the digital tricks and trickery and strategies and all the sophistication, all the analytics doesn't change the fact that if you're adding value to that individual in whatever way you're making their life better, and that can be explored 100 different directions, don't overlook that, because a marketer that understands that and appreciates it and takes the time to learn it and understand it for themselves, for their customers, for the customers that they're helping, it'll be really easy to decide which tools actually add value and which are a waste of your time. But it's almost like the big tech companies want us to believe that the tool is the answer. The tool is never the answer. It's a tool. It's in the name.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. It's thank you. I appreciate it. Where can people find you? They want to get your book, if they want to listen to your podcast, if they want you to come speak at their event, where can people find you?
TylerChisholm.com. It's my new website. It's got all the things. And also ClearMotive.ca. It's a website we're really proud of. In the last year, we've taken our own advice. We redid our website. We got really clear on our position. We got really clear on our services and how we deliver. And on my own website, I had a lot of fun just really evolving into embracing the concept of the curious leader, and that you don't have to have all the answers. You have to have all the questions.
Amazing. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for the invite, my friend.
Sharing the knowledge. It's been a pleasure. And I'd love to run it back. Maybe I'll join you for a conversation on one of your podcasts. We'll see where
I look forward to it. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Cheers, man.